My name is Brandon Clark. I'm 36 years old, currently a cybersecurity specialist for a major financial corporation right here in Charlotte, North Carolina. 48 hours ago, I watched every last dollar in my accounts disappear right before my eyes. Notification after notification slammed into my phone, relentless non-stop while I was finishing a late-night report at the table in my Ballantine home. The blue glow from my laptop reflected off the empty coffee mug sitting quietly in the sink. At first, I thought it was just a system glitch. But when I opened the banking app, the truth stared back at me with no room for denial. Checking account, savings account, emergency fund. Even the college fund I had been building for years for my son Ethan, everything was wiped clean. More than $100,000 transferred out from a device I recognized instantly. The person who did it was no stranger. It was my sister, Amber Ramirez. The sister I had pulled out of debt countless times. The sister I trusted enough to add as an authorized user many years ago just because she needed a little help to get her life back on track. She didn't borrow. She cleaned me out. Every overtime shift, every freelance job I took after Ethan had gone to bed, every sacrifice I made to keep our two-person family stable, all of it vanished with just a few taps from someone who knew exactly how much that money meant to us. I didn't scream. I froze. My heart pounded so hard I could hear it clearly in the silent house. Rent, utilities, Ethan's future. Everything gone just because I believed family was the safest place. Then my parents called from Raleigh. Not a single. "Are you okay?" Not a word of comfort. Just my father's cold voice. "You trusted her, so you deserve to lose it." My mother didn't even speak. The silence on the video call was more cruel than any insult. Their eyes looking at me through the screen said it all. I was the one at fault. I was the one who trusted the wrong person. And not a single soul stood by my side, not even one word. I sat there numb, staring at the glaring red negative numbers. Then Ethan walked out from his room. He's 16, taller than his age, and strangely calm in moments of crisis. He looked at me, looked at the screen full of alerts. Then he straightened his shoulders. In the quietest, gentlest voice, he said, "Dad, don't worry. I've handled it." Before I tell you exactly what my 16-year-old son did and why, 2 days later, my sister called me in absolute panic. Please tell me right now where you're watching from and what time it is there. Comment below and subscribe to the channel right away. I want to see just how far a story of betrayal by your own family can reach. This version keeps the dramatic pacing, short, impactful sentences, and emotional weight exactly as in the Vietnamese original. Ready for YouTube voiceover? Good luck with the video. To understand why I let my guard down so completely with Amber, I have to take you back much further to the years we grew up together in Raleigh, a couple of hours' drive from where I live now. I was the youngest in the Clark family. Amber, my older sister by 5 years, was always the center of everything. Mom and Dad treated her like she was made of glass. She was the only girl, the firstborn, the one they pinned all their hopes on. "Your sister is special," Dad would say, whenever I complained. "She needs more. More clothes, more lessons, more attention, more excuses." When I was 10, I begged to join the school basketball league. The registration fee was small, but Dad shook his head. "We're saving that money for Amber's college fund. You understand, right?" I nodded, even though I didn't. Amber ended up dropping out of college halfway through anyway. She said the pressure was too much. The professors were unfair. Her friends were a bad influence. Mom and Dad never questioned it. They blamed the school, blamed the system, blamed anyone except her. Meanwhile, I was wearing her hand-me-down jackets and earning my own spending money by mowing lawns in the neighborhood. I left Raleigh as soon as I could. Got a job, worked nights, paid my way through community college, then transferred to a 4-year university. I moved to Charlotte, built a life from scratch. But I never fully cut ties. Every month I sent money home, sometimes a few $100s, sometimes more when Mom said the roof was leaking or Dad needed a new transmission. Amber called regularly too. She always had a new plan, a new business idea, a new reason she was this close to turning everything around. I listened. I wired the money. I told myself it was what brothers do. Then there were the loans. Over the years, she borrowed tens of thousands from me. Each time she promised she'd pay it back as soon as things take off. I kept records at first, then stopped. I didn't want to be the guy who kept score with family. Whenever I gently brought it up, Mom would sigh on the phone. "She's going through a rough patch, Brandon. You're doing well now. Help your sister." Dad was blunter. "You're the man of the house when it comes to money. Step up." I felt like the spare part in my own family, the one who was expected to give without asking, to forgive without apology, to prove I was worth keeping around. But I kept hoping. I kept thinking one day they would see me the way they saw her. One day they would say thank you without being forced. One day things would be fair. That hope is exactly why 3 years ago, when Amber called crying from Raleigh saying she and Derek had a real shot at an online business and just needed a bridge loan, I didn't hesitate. I transferred the money. And I added her back as an authorized user on one of my old accounts, the same account I'd used to help her years earlier. I told myself it was temporary. I told myself family pays family back eventually. I was wrong. After many years away from Raleigh, I finally built a life of my own in Charlotte. I landed a solid job as an IT security specialist for a large financial company based in the South Park area. The pay was steady, the benefits good, and the work kept me sharp, monitoring threats, patching vulnerabilities, teaching teams how to spot phishing attempts before they turned into breaches. I bought a modest house in Ballantyne, a quiet suburban neighborhood with good schools and safe streets. It wasn't flashy, but it was mine. I raised Ethan alone after the divorce. His mom and I parted on decent terms. She moved to Atlanta for a new job, and we agreed on joint custody that worked for everyone. Ethan adapted quickly. He's smart, quiet, and curious, always asking questions about how systems work, why passwords matter, how location sharing can be both a safety tool and a risk. I taught him early. From the time he was 12, I showed him how to set up two-factor authentication, how to recognize suspicious login alerts, how to freeze an account if something looked off. We practiced together on dummy apps. I made it a game. What would you do if you saw a new device logging in? He'd grin and say, "Freeze it, report it, then call you." I never thought he'd have to use it for real. 3 years ago, Amber reached out again. She was in tears on the phone, voice shaking as she explained she and Derek had a legitimate opportunity, an online venture that needed startup capital to get off the ground. "This time it's different, Brandon," she said. "We have a real plan, real partners. I just need a bridge until the first revenue hits." I hesitated. I had the money in a secondary account, the one I'd used years earlier to cover her emergency expenses. I transferred the amount she asked for, then against my better judgment, I added her back as an authorized user so she could access it if things got tight. I told myself it was temporary, a final safety net. I told myself I could remove the access later. I never did. Life got busy. Work projects piled up. Ethan started high school. The access stayed open because I convinced myself it was harmless. Family, right? We help each other. That night in Ballantyne, everything changed. I was wrapping up a late report when my phone started buzzing. One notification, then another, then a flood. I opened the banking app and watched the balances drop in real time. Transfers were going out faster than I could process. Checking account drained. Savings account emptied. The emergency fund I'd built over years gone. Even the college account I'd been quietly adding to for Ethan zeroed out. More than $100,000 moved without my permission. I scrolled through the transaction history. The device ID was familiar. It was the same cheap Android phone Amber had been using for years, the one she refused to upgrade because it still works fine. The access I'd left open had been exploited. Shock hit first, then anger, then a deep, burning self-blame. I had handed her the keys. I had ignored every rule I enforce at work. I sat there staring at the screen, thinking about Ethan's future, about how I'd failed to protect what mattered most. When I was still frozen in front of the screen, Ethan walked in from his room. He's 16, already taller than me, and he has this quiet way of assessing situations before he speaks. He glanced at my face, then at the laptop where the red alerts were still blinking. "What happened?" he asked, voice steady. I could barely get the words out. "Your aunt. She took everything. The accounts are empty." Ethan pulled a chair over and sat beside me. He didn't panic. He didn't ask 100 questions. Instead, he reached for my phone, which was still lighting up with delayed transaction confirmations. "Let me see." He scrolled quickly through the alerts. New login from an unrecognized device. Multiple transfers initiated. His fingers moved fast across the screen. I saw the first one pop up about 20 minutes ago while I was doing homework. The message said, "New device logged in from outside Charlotte." I knew you were home, so it didn't make sense. I stared at him. "You saw it?" "Yeah. I checked the location sharing we set up last summer when we went camping. Your location was here. Mine was here. But there was another Amber's phone. It was still linked from that trip. She was in a motel off I-85 way outside the city." He opened the banking app himself. I had shown him how to log in as a secondary user for emergencies, never thinking he'd need it so soon. The transfers were still processing. The last $180,000 was pending. I didn't wait. I hit the emergency freeze button on all accounts. Then I reported the device as suspicious and flagged the activity for review. I felt my stomach drop. "You froze everything." "Everything," he said. "The bank sent a confirmation. Temporary hold in place. They're reviewing now. Nothing more can go out until they clear it." For a second, the room tilted. Relief crashed into disbelief. My 16-year-old son, my kid who still forgets to take out the trash, had just slammed the door on what could have been a total wipeout. I had spent years teaching companies how to defend against breaches, yet it was Ethan who reacted when it mattered most. I pulled him into a quick hug. "You saved us." He shrugged, but I could see the small pride in his eyes. "You taught me. If something looks wrong, don't wait. Act." We sat there for a minute, the silence broken only by the occasional ping of the bank confirming the hold. Then my phone rang again. "Raleigh area code, Mom and Dad." I answered on speaker. Dad's voice came through sharp. "What the hell did you do? Brandon, Amber just called us in tears. She says you locked her out of the accounts. She's in trouble, and you're making it worse." Mom chimed in softer but no less accusing. "Why would you do that to your sister? She's going through a hard time. You're supposed to help family, not hurt them." I gripped the phone. "They're my accounts." She transferred money without asking. More than $100,000. Dad snorted. "You gave her access. That's on you. Now you freeze her out. How is she supposed to fix her problems if you cut her off?" "You're being selfish," Mom added. "She told us you're overreacting. Just unlock it. Be the bigger person." I looked at Ethan. He was watching me, jaw tight. I muted the call for a second. "They're not listening." He shook his head. "They never do." I unmuted. "I'm not unlocking anything. She took money that was for Ethan's future. For our future." Dad's voice rose. "You think you're so smart with your tech job. You think you're better than us. Well, you're not. You're just the one who trusted too much and now wants to punish your sister for it." The line went quiet. Then Mom said, "We're disappointed in you, Brandon." They hung up. I set the phone down. The house felt smaller. The betrayal wasn't just from Amber anymore. It was from the people who were supposed to have my back. The people who had always chosen her side no matter what. I felt the last thread of hope I'd kept for them snap. Ethan put his hand on my shoulder. "We're not alone, Dad. We've got this." I nodded, but inside something had broken wide open. The family I'd tried to hold on to for so long had turned its back completely. And for the first time, I wasn't sure I wanted to pick up the pieces anymore. 2 days later, while I was still trying to regain my calm at home in Charlotte, my phone buzzed with an unknown number. I stared at the screen for a second before answering. The voice on the other end was Amber's shaky, breathless nothing like the calm sister I used to know. "What did you do to the accounts, Brandon?" she snapped. "Everything's frozen. The bank is asking questions. I can't get anything through." "You ruined everything." I kept my tone even. "You transferred money without permission. You left me with nothing. Why should I unlock it?" She laughed a bitter sound. "You think this is just about me? You have no idea what you've stepped into. Derek and I were counting on that money. We owe people, big people. They don't like delays. You froze it, and now they're coming after us. If you don't fix this, it's going to get worse for everyone." I felt a chill, but I didn't let it show. "Who are they?" "Doesn't matter," she hissed. "Just unfreeze the accounts. Tell the bank it was a mistake, or they'll make sure we all pay, including you and your precious son." The threat hung there sharp and real. I could hear her breathing fast, panicked. She was unraveling. I didn't respond right away. Instead, I opened my laptop, started recording the call on a secure app I kept for work. "Amber, you used my information to make this happen. You put us in this position." She cut me off. "You're the one who gave me access. You're the reason we're here. Just do what I'm asking. Please." She hung up abruptly. I sat there for a moment, the recording saved. Then I went to work. First, I pulled every piece of evidence I could. Call logs from my phone, screenshots of the frozen transactions, the bank's fraud confirmation emails. I exported the device history showing her Android phone as the source. Every timestamp, every IP trace I could access through my work tools. Next, I called Nicole Thompson, my co-worker at the South Park office. She's one of the best analysts on the team, sharp, no-nonsense, always willing to dig into logs when things get messy. "Nicole, I need your help off the clock," I said when she picked up. "It's personal. My sister accessed my accounts unauthorized. I've got a recording of her admitting it, plus the transaction data." She didn't hesitate. "Send it over. I'll look at the device fingerprints and transfer patterns. Give me an hour." An hour later, she called back. "This isn't random. The transfers were routed through multiple intermediate accounts, classic mule chain. And the originating device matches what you described. She's not working alone. There's a bigger pattern here, Brandon. Investment scam signatures all over it." Her words confirmed what Amber had slipped. This wasn't just a desperate grab. It was part of something organized. I didn't wait. I drove to the Charlotte Police Department's Financial Crimes Unit. They directed me to Detective Heather Brooks. She was in her mid-40s, calm eyes behind wire-frame glasses, the kind of person who had seen every kind of fraud story. I laid it all out: the authorized user access from years ago, the unauthorized transfers, the call recording, Nicole's analysis. I handed over the evidence folder. Detective Brooks listened without interrupting. When I finished, she nodded. "This qualifies as unauthorized electronic funds transfer and potential identity misuse. We'll open a formal case. I'll need you to sign statements and provide any additional logs. We'll coordinate with the bank to keep the hold in place and trace the funds." She asked about Amber's location during the call. I mentioned the motel from Ethan's earlier check. She noted it down. "We'll start with a subpoena for the phone records. If this ties into a larger scheme, we can bring in federal resources." As I left the station, I felt something shift. I wasn't just reacting anymore. I was taking control. The hold on the accounts meant the money hadn't reached Amber yet. She was stuck scrambling, and the panic in her voice had been real. Back home, I told Ethan the update. He nodded, serious. Good. They can't touch us now. But I knew it wasn't over. Amber's words about they echoed. The scam was bigger than her. And if she was desperate enough to threaten my son, she was capable of anything. As the police began to dig deeper, bigger secrets started to surface. Detective Brooks kept me updated with short, factual calls. The investigation moved fast once they subpoenaed the phone records and bank trails. What they found wasn't just a simple family loan gone wrong. Amber had used my name, my job title, and parts of my professional background to build credibility with her victims. She had posted screenshots of my LinkedIn profile on private forums claiming I was an investor who vetted the opportunities. She told people I had already put in money and was making returns. None of it was true. I had never invested a cent in her schemes. The deeper they went, the more victims emerged. Retirees who had sent their savings for high-yield online ventures. Single parents who borrowed against their homes. A small nonprofit that thought they were diversifying surplus funds. The pattern was the same: promises of quick profits, fake testimonials, and my name used as a trust anchor. Amber and Derek had been running this for months, funneling money through drop accounts and mule chains. The arrests came quietly. Detectives executed warrants at the motel where Amber was staying and at Derek's apartment in a nearby suburb. They seized laptops, phones, encrypted drives. Amber was taken into custody first. Derek tried to leave town but was pulled over on I-85 with a bag of cash and burner phones in the trunk. The charges were serious wire fraud, identity theft, conspiracy to commit fraud, money laundering. The federal guidelines for wire fraud alone carried a maximum of 20 years, but with multiple victims, and the amount involved, prosecutors were pushing for the higher end. Amber faced additional counts for misusing my identity. The evidence was overwhelming: the call recording, the device logs, the forum posts, the victim statements. The fallout was immediate and brutal. Amber lost her job the day after the arrest. The online marketing company she claimed to work for cut ties, publicly issuing a statement that they had no knowledge of her activities. Her credit score, already shaky, plummeted when the fraud alerts hit. Banks closed her accounts. Creditors started calling. She couldn't even get a basic prepaid card without triggering flags. Derek fared worse in some ways. He had a decent warehouse job that paid the bills. The arrest made headlines in the local news, small article, but enough. His employer let him go within 48 hours, citing policy violations. He had no savings to fall back on. Within a week, he was gone, left Amber to deal with the mess alone. She told Detective Brooks he packed up in the middle of the night and disappeared to parts unknown. No forwarding address, no calls, just gone. Amber sat in county jail waiting for her bail hearing. Bail was set high, $200,000, because the judge saw her as a flight risk. She couldn't post it. No one came forward. Not her friends, not her business partners, and definitely not our parents. They visited once, according to the detective's notes, but left after a short, tense conversation. Amber cried during the visit. She begged them to help. They didn't. The preliminary hearing came fast. Prosecutors laid out the case: how Amber had exploited family trust to gain access, then escalated to systematic fraud. The restitution amount was staggering, over $300,000 across all victims, with my losses included. If convicted, she was looking at 10 to 15 years in federal prison, plus years of supervised release and full restitution payments that would follow her long after parole. I didn't attend the hearing. I didn't need to see her in cuffs to know the consequences were real. The system was doing what it does: slow, methodical, unforgiving when the evidence is clear. Amber had chosen this path. She had used my name, my life, my son's future to build her lies. Now she was facing the full weight of it. The news was quiet, but it spread in our small circles. A few mutual acquaintances from Raleigh texted me. Heard about Amber? That's rough. I didn't reply. There was nothing left to say. After Amber and Derek were arrested, the reaction from the rest of the family hurt even more. It started with calls. First Mom, then Dad, then Amber from the jail phone, each one more desperate than the last. Mom's voice cracked on the first ring. "Brandon, please. She's your sister. Family is blood. You can't let her sit in there. Talk to the detective. Tell them it was a misunderstanding. We'll pay you back somehow." I listened in silence. She kept going. "She's scared. She's crying every night. You have to forgive her. That's what family does." Dad took the phone. "Son, this has gone far enough. Amber made mistakes, but she's family. You're destroying her life over money. Drop the charges. Be the bigger man." I told them the truth. She stole from me. From Ethan's future. The charges aren't mine to drop. The prosecutor is handling it. They didn't accept that. Mom sobbed. "How can you be so cold? We raised you better than this." Amber called next. The line was tinny monitored. "Brandon, I'm sorry. I messed up. I didn't mean for it to go this far. Please, help me. Tell them I'll pay everything back. Family is supposed to stick together. Don't let me go to prison, I'm begging you." Her voice broke on the last word. I felt a pang, the old instinct to fix things, to protect. But it passed quickly. "Amber, you used my name to scam people. You threatened my son. This isn't something I can just fix." She cried harder. "Please, I'm your sister. Blood is thicker than water." I ended the call. The begging didn't stop. They called every day for a week. Different numbers, different pleas. "We're family. Forgive her. Don't ruin her life." Each time I said no, the tone shifted. It started with guilt trips. Then came the anger. Mom posted first. A long message in our family Facebook group, the one with aunts, uncles, cousins, the people we hadn't spoken to in years. The title was simple: "Praying for Amber." The post read, "My daughter is going through the worst time of her life. Her brother Brandon has turned his back on her. He's pressing charges over a family misunderstanding. He's being cruel and unforgiving. Please pray for Amber. She needs our support. Families should stand together, not tear each other apart." Dad commented below, "We raised him to be better than this. Disappointed doesn't cover it." Then Amber's post from jail, shared by a cousin. "To my brother Brandon, I hope you're happy. You've destroyed my life because you can't forgive. I'm sitting here because of you. Blood means nothing to you." Unbelievable. Comments poured in. Relatives I barely remembered chimed in. "That's not how family works. Brandon, you need to step up. Poor Amber. She's suffering so much." The group exploded. Old photos surfaced, me and Amber as kids smiling at holidays. Captions like, "What happened to this?" and "He's forgotten where he came from." I read it all. Each word felt like a fresh cut. These were people who had never asked how I was, never checked on Ethan, never thanked me for the money I sent over the years. Now they were judging me, blaming me, taking her side without knowing the facts. The pressure built. More posts. More shares. A cousin messaged me privately. "Just drop it, man. She's your sister. Let it go." I didn't reply to any of it. Instead, I did what I should have done years ago. I blocked them. All of them. Mom, Dad, Amber's jail account, the cousins, the group itself. I removed myself from every family chat, every photo album, every connection. The notifications stopped. The guilt trips stopped. The noise stopped. It hurt. Deeply. These were the people I had spent my life trying to please. The people I had convinced myself would one day see me. But they didn't. They never had. I sat in the quiet house with Ethan. He looked at me. "You okay, Dad?" I nodded. "Yeah, it's over." He didn't push. He just stayed close. For the first time, the pain felt like release. I wasn't carrying their expectations anymore. I wasn't waiting for their approval. I was free to choose my own family, the one that stood by me when it mattered. After Amber and Derek were arrested, the reaction from the rest of the family hurt even more. It started with calls. First Mom, then Dad, then Amber from the jail phone, each one more desperate than the last. Mom's voice cracked on the first ring. "Brandon, please. She's your sister. Family is blood. You can't let her sit in there. Talk to the detective. Tell them it was a misunderstanding. We'll pay you back somehow." I listened in silence. She kept going. "She's scared. She's crying every night. You have to forgive her. That's what family does." Dad took the phone. "Son, this has gone far enough. Amber made mistakes, but she's family. You're destroying her life over money. Drop the charges. Be the bigger man." I told them the truth. She stole from me. From Ethan's future. The charges aren't mine to drop. The prosecutor is handling it. They didn't accept that. Mom sobbed. "How can you be so cold? We raised you better than this." Amber called next. The line was tinny monitored. "Brandon, I'm sorry, I messed up. I didn't mean for it to go this far. Please, help me. Tell them I'll pay everything back. Family is supposed to stick together. Don't let me go to prison, I'm begging you." Her voice broke on the last word. I felt a pang, the old instinct to fix things to protect, but it passed quickly. "Amber, you used my name to scam people. You threatened my son. This isn't something I can just fix." She cried harder. "Please, I'm your sister. Blood is thicker than water." I ended the call. The begging didn't stop. They called every day for a week. Different numbers, different pleas. "We're family. Forgive her. Don't ruin her life." Each time I said no, the tone shifted. It started with guilt trips. Then came the anger. Mom posted first. A long message in our family Facebook group. The one with aunts, uncles, cousins, the people we hadn't spoken to in years. The title was simple, "Praying for Amber." The post read, "My daughter is going through the worst time of her life. Her brother Brandon has turned his back on her. He's pressing charges over a family misunderstanding. He's being cruel and unforgiving. Please pray for Amber. She needs our support. Family should stand together, not tear each other apart." Dad commented below, "We raised him to be better than this. Disappointed doesn't cover it." Then Amber's post from jail shared by a cousin. "To my brother Brandon, I hope you're happy. You've destroyed my life because you can't forgive. I'm sitting here because of you. Blood means nothing to you." Unbelievable. Comments poured in. Relatives I barely remembered chimed in. "That's not how family works. Brandon, you need to step up. Poor Amber, she's suffering so much." The group exploded. Old photos surfaced, me and Amber as kids smiling at holidays. Captions like, "What happened to this?" and "He's forgotten where he came from." I read it all. Each word felt like a fresh cut. These were people who had never asked how I was, never checked on Ethan, never thanked me for the money I sent over the years. Now they were judging me, blaming me, taking her side without knowing the facts. The pressure built. More posts, more shares. A cousin messaged me privately. "Just drop it, man. She's your sister. Let it go." I didn't reply to any of it. Instead, I did what I should have done years ago. I blocked them. All of them. Mom, Dad, Amber's jail account, the cousins, the group itself. I removed myself from every family chat, every photo album, every connection. The notifications stopped. The guilt trips stopped. The noise stopped. It hurt. Deeply. These were the people I had spent my life trying to please. The people I had convinced myself would one day see me, but they didn't. They never had. I sat in the quiet house with Ethan. He looked at me. "You okay, Dad?" I nodded. "Yeah, it's over." He didn't push. He just stayed close. For the first time, the pain felt like release. I wasn't carrying their expectations anymore. I wasn't waiting for their approval. I was free to choose my own family, the one that stood by me when it mattered.